Hello everyone. Welcome to the Altruistic Mind Podcast number 3. Today, I have with myself Mr. Zan Perrion, who is the OG connoisseur of dating and relationships. Zan is an author, a motivational speaker, a dating and relationship coach, and a true embodiment of what it is to be a complete man. And today, we're going to discuss on intersexual dynamics, Zan's journey of getting into dating as a coach, as a relationship expert, and all about beauty and the art of seduction. So I welcome Zan to the podcast, and I would want Zan to share some words of how he's feeling.
Well, thank you for having me. We had some technical difficulties, but we made making it work. So pleased to be here and glad to virtually meet your audience.
Yeah, I was hoping that I can introduce Zan to our Asian audience so that his
Mhm.
work that he has been for so long engaged in terms of seduction and romance, that can flourish in the Asian subcontinent also. So great to have you, Zan.
Thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah. Zan, if we were to start with the conversation, during your young life, were you in Canada when you were young?
Yeah, born and raised in Western Canada.
Yeah.
I lived in the north of Canada,
Okay.
northwest of Canada, so it was very cold. And I basically grew up without electricity or running water,
Mhm.
chopping wood and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
So you started your early career in Canada only.
Yes, I did. I didn't have an education. I didn't
Okay.
go to school after 13 years old.
Hmm.
So I had to struggle to find work that would take me without an education. So yeah, but I started my career in the
Hmm.
corporate world
Oh,
actually in a food science lab is where I kind of was working for the first years of my life.
that's interesting.
Yeah, corporate.
So were you into the software or tech side also?
Into the what?
In the software industry?
Yeah, because I didn't go to school. I didn't take any training, but I
Hmm.
love computers. I love programming. So I taught myself how to do all that. And I was, until I was the head of the IT department at the company I worked for.
Hmm.
So I was a programmer, a SQL database guy.
Yeah, that's
I was a
interesting.
networking guy. I ran the network and I was in charge of the IT department. So
Hmm.
I know computers and programming and that kind of stuff very well, and I miss it.
So what age was this when you were in the IT?
In my 20s.
In my 20, okay, 20s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after that you went to Europe from Canada.
Well, my 20s and 30s, I was this corporate guy, IT. Um, I ran various departments in
Hmm.
these companies, and then I quit when I was about 38.
Oh.
I quit and I hit the road. I quit and I sold my apartment. I got rid of all my possessions
Hmm.
and I reduced myself down to one pair of shoes and
Hmm.
one carry-on bag, and I started to travel.
So
Yeah.
what was it that triggered this sort of change that you wanted in your life?
Well, because I was a kid in the wilderness, like
Hmm.
living in the forest, and I had
Hmm.
nothing.
Hmm.
And there's something in me that still has that spirit. And I was trying to do the corporate thing and buy fancy furniture and fancy cars,
Hmm.
and it just felt like I had too much for me. I want adventure and freedom more than I want things.
Hmm.
So to get rid of all those things, cars and all that kind of stuff, possessions, was similar to me going back to the forest virtually. I felt like I
Hmm.
was sneaking around in the forest again, and I love it. I mean, I'm in Bucharest now, and I have a small studio, and I don't have many possessions. I got books and a guitar, but I just love the idea of not having possessions, and because it represents freedom for me, so
Hmm.
it's very important to me.
So let's hop back into the next thing, that is your engagement with women and romance.
Yeah.
Like if we talk about how you were as a young guy in your 20s, what was that like? So you were sort of discovering the whole. Uh,
Yeah, because because I didn't have a social education. I didn't go to high school and I didn't go to college.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't learn how about the ways of girls and boys, dating and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was a super nice guy. I watched movies. That's where I got my ideas on how to be. So I was buying flowers and writing poetry and too needy and too available. And so the girls would date me, but after two dates, they were done. They wanted nothing more because I was too needy and too available. They didn't have texting back then, but if they had texting, I would have been the guy that's texting constantly. Hey, how are you? Just thinking of you. And so I was really frustrated and really lost and really insecure and really lonely in my
Mm-hmm.
20s. Yeah.
So, after that phase that you went through of dating from that mindset, like, what did you find about this thing? Was it the nice guy thing that you were doing that was not working out?
100% the nice guy thing and being ashamed that I was a sexual being, being
Mm,
ashamed that I have that a sex drive like every man does, that God created us this way,
mm,
And I was ashamed of it, so I'd hide it and just trying to be nice, 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 nice. And nice is a good thing, but if
mm,
that's all you are,
mm,
it's not enough. You have to have some edge, some conviction, you
mm.
know.
Yeah.
So
So, what do you think? Did your upbringing or the places that you were when you were young or the material you consumed that shaped that niceness, or was it something else?
I think, yeah, maybe some psychologists would be able to say, well, it was this and this and this. I don't know what shaped the niceness, but I mean, I'm not alone. I
Mm,
don't know what it's like in your part of the world, but in the West, where I'm from, Western Canada, United
mm,
States, England,
mm.
Norway, Germany, all these Western countries, the men are afraid to offend, and so they're just nice guys, and nice guys are it's not good.
Mm. No, so the I am from India, so here we have a very conservative culture when it's about dating and stuff. So the household that I grew up in, there was always repression of the sexual instinct to talk about it, like how to go about it.
Oh,
So during my younger years, when I did not know like what was happening, so Bollywood movies we have here.
yeah.
So in Bollywood, the hopeless romanticism and like the family value systems were propagated a lot during the early 2000s and
Oh,
90s.
okay.
I don't know if you are aware of Shah Rukh Khan. He is one of the big stars here.
No, I don't think so. I don't
Okay.
think so.
So like he had a lot of movies on like he's a prime example of romantic hero in our culture. Like you have the Brad Pitts and the Tom Cruise in Hollywood.
Sure.
So the
Yeah.
movies that he propagated, it had a lot of sort of hopeless romanticism, care, and
Hmm.
showcasing the pedestalization of women, caring for them
Oh,
and stuff. So in a way, it was very good. Like even the girls were enjoying the way the romance was propagated. But somehow I felt that the edge that you talked about, the other aspect of the masculinism, that got
yes.
compromised a lot. So in our young age, when I was in school and college,
Mm.
even I used to do the nice guy thing, which sort of didn't work out for me. And also my peers. So we used to see some guys who sort of, got inspiration from Western actors to integrate some of that macho side in them. So we saw that they sort of got much more attention and so that was a phase that even I was going like, what is this happening? In our pop culture, something else is being projected, but it's not working on the ground. So there was something like missing there.
Well, that's for sure. I mean, Western movies, maybe, yeah, Bollywood movies I'm not too familiar with, but
Yeah,
you can bet that that famous actor that you're talking about,
yeah,
in
yeah,
his movies, it's all sentimentalism,
yeah.
pedestalizing women, but him in real life, I bet he's not.
No, in real life, he has a great balance of that edge and like charm, I think.
Yeah, of course. That's right. Yeah.
So, what steps like did you take to come out of this nice guy frame? Like, what was the journey like?
Well, it was women that kept telling me,
Okay.
you know, there was women that kept saying like, where's your edge? How come you don't feel something from you? How come you're just accommodating and compliant and available and attentive?
Mm-hmm.
The women just told me that they didn't like it. We like
Okay.
they would leave me and I would question why, or they would just tell me that you don't have any conviction, you don't have any edge. I don't know how else to say it, like
Yeah.
untuck your shirt, get a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more primal. And I didn't have a primal edge. I had it internally.
Mm-hmm.
I was very primal, but I was trying to soften it because I thought that's what you had to do. I was taught that by movies, that you
Mm-hmm.
have to be in Western movies, a lot of those movies in the 90s, etc. The nice guy in the end wins the girl,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
like the movie When Harry Met Sally. Like she dates all these asshole guys, and then at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the movie she goes, "Oh, it was you. It was you. I should have been with you all along." And goes, "There we go," and the happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was for me.
Mm-hmm. So, what was it so special about Romania that made you stay there?
Well, I was traveling with my one pair of shoes and one carry-on bag around the world, and I lived in for a month in Montreal, in Colombia,
Mm-hmm.
in Panama, in Berlin. I just traveling and talking and writing and doing weekend intensives and coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up coming to Romania on an invitation, and I stopped traveling because I really like Romania a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And the number one reason I like Romania a lot is because of the girls. I
Oh.
just like the spirit of the girls. They
Mm-hmm.
got an Eastern European flavor. They're beautiful. They're
Mm-hmm.
educated. They're well traveled. They speak five languages, and I just like the spirit of the women in the
Mm-hmm.
country.
So
So
what?
I mean, like people say, oh, because I'm from Vancouver, I spent time in Vancouver. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver's such a beautiful city. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
if you like mountain biking and rock climbing and hiking. I did all that when I was a kid in the wilderness. So I like a city, I like nightlife, I like the coffee culture, and Romania's
Mm-hmm.
got that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, your introduction into the dating industry, like, were there any influences or people that got you into it, which were they were already there, actively doing something like that?
When I first got into this, there was nobody. The internet was the dating seduction community, they called it.
Mm-hmm.
Neil Strauss and all that kind of stuff was just hadn't started yet. And I was one of the early guys. Neil Strauss wrote about me in his book, The Game, which is
Mm-hmm.
a very famous book. There's a chapter
Yeah.
about me in there. So I was
Mm-hmm.
around from the beginning, but there was no men that influenced me. I would go out by myself. So
Mm-hmm.
what influenced me, what I learned about this kind of thing is I read Casanova's memoirs,
Okay.
and Casanova really had a beautiful spirit, and he was audacious and funny, and he liked women, and he traveled, and he had no money, and he just traveled everywhere, and he trusted that that he was going to be okay no matter what. And so I wanted to model my life after Casanova, and he was a very big influence on me. So it was literature,
Mm-hmm.
characters in literature that influenced me, not people in real life.
Mm-hmm. So, other than this, any other figures from the Greek or say other Western philosophies that you sort of touched on to?
Yeah, like Cellini as well. The autobiography of Benvenuto Cellini, who's a Florentian sculptor. Read that, and that influenced me. And just stories of adventure. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like I had a, I had no opportunities from my childhood. I didn't have money given to me. I didn't have an education. I had no opportunities. And so I didn't know that there was a potential to go into the world and do whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And and I would read about these guys who had these incredible lives, who started out with nothing, poverty, no education, and they went into the world and they created something magnificent. And I thought, if they can do it, I can do it. So I didn't have this feeling of being a victim.
mm,
Like I have no, I have to wait till I have to learn more, or so I they influenced me a lot in the way they lived their lives, and they said we're going to go and find magic and treasure no matter what. Yeah, we had a bad childhood, and yeah, we have no opportunities with no money, but let's go see what we can do anyway.
mm.
So I was very influenced by literature and stories of adventure,
Yeah.
pirates and cowboys and stuff.
So that sort of triggered the sort of adventurous spirit within you.
I had it since I was very young. I always wanted to um, be connected to history because when I was raised in northern Canada,
Mm,
northwestern Canada, there was no house or building over 50 years old.
mm,
It's all new because it was newly settled. There's no history, no stone buildings, no churches that are, 1,000 years old. And
mm,
so I've always been drawn to that because I wanted to know my place in the role of history. So now that I live in Europe, I'm surrounded by 2,000-year-old buildings and Roman ruins and it just it nurtures my soul. I need to be around that kind of energy.
yeah. So you
Yeah.
mean to say the architecture and the overall metaphysical essence that it has. So,
100%. It feels like there's centuries of guys just like me
mm,
who stood on the same side of the road here,
mm,
and they're all gone. And someday I'll be gone, but
mm,
I'm here now. So it really gives me a perspective on life.
mm.
Yeah. I don't blame anybody or anything. You have to make your own life, you have to
Yeah.
create it. Yeah. Yeah.
So, following from this thought, if I sort of ask you, with so much experience you have in the field, like, what do you think are the sort of fundamental psychological and spiritual aspects that make a complete man?
Well, you have to be on a spiritual journey. And by that, I mean, if you're just going to your work, coming home, eating some food, watching TV, taking a shower, and then tomorrow you go to work, you do this over and over and over again.
Mm,
There's no, there's no desire in you for something more, for
mm,
something more, something more meaningful and more
mm,
transcendent, I guess you could say. If you don't have that, then you're just existing.
mm,
And then there's not going to be any, and then when women meet you, there's nothing interesting about you. You're just a
mm,
guy.
mm,
So if you're caught up in trying to find the mystery that is you, the mystique that is your life, trying to create your life as a story, as a
mm,
narrative
mm,
from cradle to grave,
mm,
then people, when they meet you, women, when they meet you, will think, wow, there's something about him. There's
mm,
something different about him because there's something different in your eyes, in the way
mm,
you look at the world and the way you feel.
mm.
Hmm.
So you mean to say that the continuous self-discovery journey is something very seductive?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're always seduced
Mm,
and 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 excited and curious about what's coming next about the future. You're very excited for what's coming next about the future. So
mm.
yeah, it's a life of curiosity.
Yeah. So do you think that still, after so many years, still you are finding something every day that you are discovering and that is adding to your seduction game?
Yeah, I'm spending my time. I wrote a book, The Alabaster Girl.
Yeah,
This one I want to show you quickly.
yeah,
The Alabaster Girl.
yeah.
And I'm writing a second book. And so
Oh, that's nice.
I spend my days in my studio writing
Mm-hmm.
and um and reading. So yeah, I'm always discovering. I'm more excited about what I'm going to learn going forward than what I learned in the past. I don't.
Mm.
I still haven't learned what I want to learn yet.
Yeah,
So
I remember I was watching your series with your pals that you did on the Ars Amorata channel, the video lecture series of the book.
oh
So
my
it was
goodness.
like till the end of it, I watched the whole thing. So it was like you still had more questions. It was quite
Well,
interesting.
I
And
just started a new podcast too with Jordan, the same guy that was in that one.
yeah, yeah, I saw that.
We started a new podcast where every week we're going to have a conversation about whatever.
Yeah.
So we've done a few episodes so far. So
So that was very beautiful the way you guys were having the discussions from the book in that series. And
thank you.
towards the end, that you were still seeking like more answers, more understanding. Just that just sort of laid a thing in my mind that there's always like so much to,
Oh,
get to
and
discover in this thing.
I've been having courses and programs and lectures
Hmm.
since that series,
Yeah.
and I still haven't touched. Yeah, I still haven't. There's so much more to understand and to learn and to share. It's just fascinating. It never ends.
Hmm. There's one concept that you talk about a lot that is coming in touch with your feminine essence. So can
I do.
you,
I don't say that, right?
uh, like, is it important to sort of for a man to be in touch with his feminine side also?
Oh no, I've never said that. I know a lot of people say that. I've
Okay.
never expressed that because
Hmm.
I know a lot of guys say that, like a lot of coaches and a lot of
Yeah.
people out there say you need to tap into your feminine side so you can understand. And maybe they're right. I don't understand that because for
Hmm.
me, they could be right, and maybe that's what I do. I mean, I
Hmm.
wear women's jewelry, but I'm very masculine.
Hmm.
But to me, it's more like tap into the love of life that you have as a man. You're a man. God created you that way, and be excited about that instead of ashamed.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think that we can't have any strong men's move. Like there's men's movements today on the
Yeah.
internet, for instance, that's men going their own way and men taking
Hmm.
back the power from women is their goal. And I don't think you can have a
Yeah.
strong men's movement without women supporting it. So
Hmm.
we have to do it all together.
Hmm.
So I've never said tap into the feminine side of you. What I have said is we need feminine energy around us, surrounding us in our day, every day of our lives. We need feminine energy to give us motivation, to give us a nurturing spirit, make us feel fulfilled, make us feel abundant. So
Hmm.
it's a little bit different. Maybe it's saying the same thing, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's this interesting sort of section I saw in one of your seminars with the 21 studios, where you
Mhm.
talked about balancing the two forces in the body, like
Yeah.
the upward one and the lower one. Can you expand on that?
Sure. I mean, just briefly, I came to this conclusion that in all my observations, all the things I learned, that men
Hmm.
operate with the world or they interact with the world with two different types of energy.
Hmm.
And one is an upper energy. It goes from your heart and it goes up and out into the world.
Hmm.
It goes outward into the world. It's an energy of you being funny, curious, respectful, kind, um, observant, all these wonderful things of qualities of men.
Hmm.
And it's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's where you're talkative, you're offering a glass of wine, you're saying, hello, my friend, I haven't seen you in a long time. And you're saying to him, hey, what's your name? You look, it's nice to meet you. Maybe we can see each other. It's all upper energy. It feels good.
Hmm.
It's a good energy. But at the same time, men have this equal counterbalancing energy that starts from the heart as well, but it goes down,
Hmm.
down and out into the world.
Hmm.
This is your danger element. This is your spirit of destruction. This is
Hmm.
your desire to bend the world over. This is your sexual drive. This is your thrusting impulse.
Hmm.
And it's a beautiful energy, just like the upper energy,
Hmm.
but and it balances. And it's both are needed.
Hmm.
Because most modern men, the nice guy that we talked about
Hmm.
earlier, he's
Yeah.
all upper energy. He's top heavy. He's got no roots. So he's like a tree in the wind. So if
Hmm.
he says to a girl, hey, would you like to go on a date? She says, I have a boyfriend. He falls over. Oh, I'm sorry. And
Hmm.
he's apologetic. He apologizes.
Hmm.
So there's no strength in him. There's no conviction in him. So
Hmm.
the upper energy realistically is, it's great. You need to have respect and kindness and humor and curiosity, but you need
Hmm.
it balanced at the same time with the lower energy. And
Yeah.
an integrated man, a real man, has both at the same time.
Hmm.
It makes sense. And if you're only lower energy and you don't have the upper energy of respect, kindness, calmness, this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
then you're sexually aggressive and invasive, and nobody wants to be around you because it's too much,
Hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So let's talk about Ars Amorata. Like, where did this term Like, it's a very interesting term. Like, where did you get it from?
Well, I'll tell you, about 20 years ago, I was interviewed by a reporter,
Hmm.
and she wrote in the magazine article, Zan Perrion has been influenced by uh, characters of literature,
Hmm.
Casanova,
Hmm.
Cellini,
Hmm.
and he talked about Ovid, the Roman poet Ovid, 2,000 years ago.
Hmm.
He wrote a book called the Ars Amatoria.
Okay.
And Ars Amatoria is real Latin. Ars is for art, and
Hmm.
Amatoria means the book of love. So the Ars Amatoria means the art of the book of love. And he wrote
Hmm.
this, and she quoted me in the magazine,
Okay.
but she misspelled it.
Hmm.
She instead of Ars Amatoria, she spelled it Ars Amorata. So I
Oh.
stole it, and it
Oh.
became my trademark. This is what this stands for. It's become Ars Amorata is a brand and a trademark brand, and it is the philosophy. So Ars Amorata is fake Latin, doesn't mean anything.
So basically, it's the art of love,
The art, yeah, the art of beauty.
art of beauty. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is for me, for sure.
So, do you think that beauty is a very integral part of you in your life every day? Like you're always seeking for it everywhere, in your readings, in your
Yeah,
journeys, everywhere.
I
Like,
really think, sorry, yeah, I really think that beauty is what we're longing for, what we're all missing.
hmm,
That's why we have bad political energy in the air. We have bad relationship energy in the air. We have bad, you know, I think we're missing the concept of beauty as
hmm,
a as a as a transcendent layer of life. Modern art and modern architecture has turned away from beauty,
hmm,
and it's now glass and steel and utilitarian and just build a building um, just to exist. And there's no concept in there of what we used to have, which is to build something that's also pleasing to the eye with harmony and balance and the golden rectangle.
yeah,
And art too. Art is now all created to shock you.
hmm,
Anything can be art, and I'll put a shark in a tank and call it art, or I'll
hmm,
cut up a cow and call it art. And so art is now turned away from beauty, and its whole focus and purpose is to um, well, basically to shock and to celebrate ugliness. So I think beauty is what we're missing. And if we feel lost or lonely or anxious in our lives, it's because we're not connected to beauty.
hmm.
Yeah.
So through the Ars Amorata brand, like what sort of change are you trying to bring?
Well, I'll tell you, um, um, I, I think that there's something we've discovered here with Ars Amorata.
Hmm,
It's not just about men and women, even though that's the basis of it.
hmm,
It's about a life well lived, a life of abundance,
hmm,
a life following your spiritual calling.
hmm,
And I really think if I had a mission for Ars Amorata, that the people hear about it because it's a message of hope. You know, in the West, there's no hope for young men anymore.
yeah,
Their testosterone is low.
hmm,
They're suiciding themselves. They're shooting schools. You
hmm,
know, it's there. There's a lot of hopelessness in young men. And Ars
hmm,
Amorata is a message of vitality and a return to hope.
hmm,
So my wish is that the whole world would be able to hear this kind of a message. Not me, it has
hmm,
nothing to do with me, but about what we've tapped into, what we're trying to talk about. And I have a membership, and in our membership, we have conversations about this all the time. We have conferences, we have salons.
hmm,
So I want the word to get out. I would rather lecture to high school students
hmm,
for nothing
hmm,
than coach 4 or 5 guys
yeah,
for a lot of money.
hmm,
I would rather do that,
hmm,
but I got to eat, so I do my coaching too.
yeah. So it's basically about sort of something which is beyond just men and women, and
Yes.
It's about, living your life with the essence of beauty, a continuous seeking of self-discovery, and,
Yeah.
having a strong spiritual core at it, you know.
But it's not, but it's never disconnected from the conversation of men and women. That polarity of men and women
Yeah.
is the essence that everything that I believe
Mm,
arises from the belief of the men and the women. And
mm,
so that conversation, I'm never going to talk about business and that kind of stuff,
mm.
business coaching. I'll always talk about men and women because I think everything else can flow and grow from that. And I
Yeah.
don't understand men who don't like women
Mm,
and or are just not interested in women. There's a lot of guys and lots of guys I coach
mm,
that want to talk to me
mm.
and they about women, but they're just not. We're standing, for instance, in a sidewalk, and they're talking to me, and women are walking by, and they don't even notice them, and I don't understand that.
Mm,
So my whole thing is there's a type of man out there who adores women, loves the idea of women, loves that the fact that there's women in this world,
mm,
just likes the idea of it. Maybe he's lonely and he can't get a girlfriend, but he
yeah.
likes women. He likes that he's happier when they're around.
Mm,
That's my membership. That's my guys. That's the Ars Amorata guys. That's the other fake Latin term I have is Amorati, which
mm,
is which is my membership. The Amorati is an archetype in this world of men who love women and just that's they're thrilled around women. So the
mm,
conversation it's the conversation is bigger than just men and women, but it
yeah.
is based anchored on the relationship of men and women, the
Yeah.
interaction.
Mm.
Hmm.
So there's something about the presence of women, like it's like when you have that feminine energy, feminine presence in your life, there's something to it, and like as a man, it is enriching and motivating for you to be there in that presence and find some enrichment. So that,
Well, for me, yeah. I mean, and I'm not saying that women are these life-giving creatures, that
yeah,
they're all benevolent butterflies that float around and give us blessings. No,
mm,
women have their own work to do, and there's a lot of women who are not nice,
yeah,
who are very mean-spirited and very angry at the world and just
mm,
people you don't want to be around. Just like there's men I don't want to be around, there's women I don't want to be around. So it's not like and I'm no savior of women. I'm not out to save all the women. If
yeah,
they're not a nice person, I don't care. I'll go hang out with you, you know. But
mm,
but my initial default is that she's a woman and I'm going to like her because she's a woman
mm,
and and I like the essence of the feminine spirit around me.
yeah,
And unless she proves that she's not a nice person, then I go somewhere else.
yeah.
Yeah.
She needs to back it up by being a good person.
She has to be a good person, just like any guy you want to hang out with. You want him to be a good person too, you know?
No, this is the mistake in my young life, me and my friends used to do. Watching movies, we always used to feel that women are some sort of this divine sort of soul of beauty, nurturing, and everything. So we used to overlook their bad side, and
Yes, of course.
yeah, that was
Okay.
after I became a bit mature, and I was like, why was I doing this? She was being a bitch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And everybody does that. Even guys that have had a lot of women.
Yeah,
I do a lot of coaching for guys because they meet a girl that they really like and
yeah.
she's really beautiful and they're afraid to lose her
Mm,
and she's not being nice to them.
mm,
And they but they desperately try and hold on to it. Just like
uh,
you said. So it's very common for men not to want to lose that girl, even though she's not nice and not nice to them, not
mm,
kind and not giving, and they
mm,
still want to fix it somehow.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
very common.
so you talked about this thing that is happening in the West with the young men there. So, like, what do you
Yeah.
think? Like, what elements, like pivotal elements in the culture, are sort of, you know, aggravating that? If you can think of something.
Well, oh boy. I mean, I'm not a sociologist or a psychologist, but absolutely you're going to hear other voices, not me. I don't talk about this kind of stuff, but you hear people
Yeah.
talk about pornography, about
Mm,
feminism,
mm,
about all these different influences on modern society that's causing this disconnect. And they're probably right.
mm,
Um, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the reasons and why,
mm.
because I'd rather talk about the creative process and what a life, what is an artistic expression of life.
Yeah.
Rather walk around that heavy conversation about, society, men and women fighting each other,
Mm,
politics,
mm.
pornography. I don't have, I, don't- of course I'm aware of it all, but I
Yeah.
just don't have that conversation. I'm not going to go and argue with a feminist online and
Mm,
try and get my point across. I don't care enough to argue with her, you
mm,
know? So
mm,
if I've been on different interviews, radio interviews and stuff like that, where they're challenging, someone's challenging me, saying, well, you think that you're blah, 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 blah. And I just sit there quiet. I'm not going to defend myself. I don't care what you think. I'm not going to say, no, what I meant was, no, you got me all wrong. Let me explain myself. I don't have that in me at all, at all. So I'd rather read books on philosophical things,
yeah.
trying to write definitions of beauty, trying to capture poetry than I would rather than walk into this conversation. And I think there's my audience of men are the
Mm,
same ones that don't want to have to go and fight, talk about, social issues
mm,
and, feminism, men going their own way,
mm.
pornography, all these kinds of things that you can't win. You
Yeah.
can't have a conversation with somebody who's on the other side and it's just a debate, a battle. And so
Mm,
rather than having this battle, you go around it and you talk about
mm,
the philosophical concept of transcendent
mm.
spirit of life.
Yeah. So you think that the overall societal structure in the West, uh, depending upon the how the finances and the corporate structure is, that somehow, shuns the creative essence of everyone?
Well,
Like when you were in the software engineering role, did you find that you were sort of getting limited in terms of your expression of the creativity
well,
and
me, yes, because I identify with the archetype more of an artist,
yeah.
a poet. And
Mm,
if somebody identifies more with the archetype of a smart businessman, an
yeah.
entrepreneur, then that world that I was in would be very good for them. They would love it and they'd be
Yeah.
excited and they'd go to work every day and they're excited for their day. I
Mm,
wasn't because I didn't care about the idea of making a bunch of money and rising myself higher in the office and into the bureaucracy of a corporation. For
mm,
me, I want to know that I can be surrounded with an artistic feel around me, the people I'm hanging out with, the
mm.
girls I'm with, what I'm doing with my daily basis.
Yeah.
So yes, the West was really my career and stuff in the West was really hard on me. Really
Mm,
felt like I wasn't aligned because I wasn't pursuing an artistic expression through life. Others maybe not.
yeah.
So I don't know if the West, um, Gauguin went to Tahiti to paint. If
Mm,
somebody from the West went into some small island somewhere where there's nothing to do but
mm,
watch the surf and the waves, and there's island girls, and there's nothing else to do but eat coconuts and lay in a hammock,
mm,
you're going to have a philosophical life. You're going to be thinking about things. You're going to wonder, you'll be influenced by that because you're not caught up in the city where it's busy, 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 and check your emails and run to work and rush home and go to sleep and
mm,
get insomnia and then go do it again tomorrow.
mm.
Yeah.
So, this thing that you said that like an entrepreneur or a businessman might like that culture of the West.
Yeah. I
So,
said,
yeah.
I said there's three F's,
Mm,
the letter F that motivates us. I wrote this in the Alabaster Girl.
mm,
It's either freedom, fame, or fortune.
mm,
And you and me and everybody listening is motivated mostly by one of those things, maybe all three, but one is primary.
mm,
And for me, freedom is more important than any fortune or any fame.
mm,
And I want fortune and I want fame, but I want freedom. I want it to know that that's why I don't have a big company because I could have a big company. I have an international brand, I have a well-known brand, and I could
mm,
make, multi-million dollar enterprise.
mm,
but I'd rather have my freedom to sit in my rocking chair and hang out with my girl and have a glass of wine
Mm,
than fortune or where if one of your listeners is motivated by fortune,
mm,
then that's where his love language is. That's where he'll head to. That's he'll be best suited to being an entrepreneur or trying to, be an investor or something like that. So, and some people just want fame. They want just people to know who they are. So if you know which one of those are, and for me it's freedom,
yeah,
then you know how you should arrange your life.
yeah. So I was sort of going through a lot of this red pill content with the red pill
Mm.
community. So I think probably a lot of guys there are sort of propagating this sort of fortune thing there. What do you think? In comparison to the, say, artistic expression.
Yeah, the red pill, I guess you could say movement is sort of new. I mean, it wasn't around when I was, 20 years ago, but maybe 15, 10 years ago.
Mm,
And I know I don't know the details of what they talk about,
mhm.
but I think it's you can't trust women and you got to take back the power as men, I think, right?
I whatever I have grasped, most of the focus is on sort of protecting yourself from the dangers that women might cause, and
That's
you
right.
always have to be in control of the situation.
Right. Like, and, be careful with marriage and all this kind of stuff
Yeah,
because in modern society, women have the power to
yeah,
like destroy you with marriage, right? And that's the narrative. Um, I think, honestly, I think, there might be some good points in the red pill
yeah,
ideology, but I think that it's just another way of putting up fences and putting out our swords and
yeah,
protecting ourselves and fighting the other side. And women do the same thing. That's what angry feminists are doing.
yeah,
Feminism, feminism to give the women a voice and agency is a good thing. They've been held down by society for, centuries. So
mm,
feminism at the base is a good thing for women. They get autonomy. You know, they get to become their own strength, but not when it's angry and
mm,
stomping around and pissed off at the world.
mm,
So same thing as the red pill side of things. And I don't know because I
mm,
haven't spent a lot of time thinking about it.
yeah,
But my idea is that the red pill side of things is the feminism of men. It's,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's it's angry feminism. It's the feminazis
Yeah,
of the male.
because a lot of the guys that are sort of heading that community, whenever I watch their content, it just kills the sort of artistic expression in me, wherein I'm enjoying the seduction process. I'm always sort of guards up, like, oh, no, 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 no. This might happen. This might happen. But when I look at your work or some of the more other people in the dating industry who have a much more sort of connection with the artistic expression, so you get back that fun element to it. There is much more positive,
Right.
but
Yeah, because it's not an attack and it's not a defense,
mhm,
right? It's not like, and I, and we're not nice guys. I'm not a nice guy. I was when I was in my 20s,
yeah,
but I'm not this sensitive, nice guy. I'm not a male feminist.
mhm,
You hear modern men, Prime Minister of Canada, Trudeau, just said recently said, "Oh, I'm a male feminist." I think that's the stupidest thing I ever heard for a man to say.
yeah,
Because women created a category for themselves that is women can occupy the space of being a feminist and we help each other. Now men want to invade that space too.
yeah,
You know, it's funny.
mhm. Yeah, all sorts of stuff happening.
The
Let's talk about your book, The Alabaster Girl.
Alabaster girl, they're
Yeah,
here. There you
yeah.
go.
This is the secret to your romance success.
That took me 10 years to write,
Yeah,
and and everything I learned about women is in that book.
yeah.
And the book I'm writing now
Hmm.
is everything I learned about men.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. Do
Looking
you have a
forward.
copy of this book?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm looking forward to this one also that you're
Yeah,
writing.
yeah, I'm working on it every day. It's
Yeah.
not easy. It's very hard for me to write. I'm not a fast writer. I'm not a prolific
Yeah.
writer. I'm
Mm.
slow, slow, slow. I maybe have 3 books in me in my life and I'm done.
Mm.
But they're all related. This one is the conversation between
Mm.
that man on the train,
Yeah.
and women of the world. Now the
Mm.
book I'm writing is the same guy, the same man, having a
Mm.
conversation with men of the world.
Mm.
And the third book that I'll be writing after this one is the same guy when he's old, having a conversation with himself.
Yeah.
What did he see and what did he learn?
Mm.
It's a trilogy.
Can you talk
Yeah.
about the inspiration for the name, the Alabaster Girl?
I, I wrote a poem when I was like young, very young. And
Mm.
the poem is basically says this: man has only ever searched for 3 things in this world:
Mm.
the source of light,
Mm.
the perfect note,
Mm.
and Alabaster Girl.
Yeah.
In other words, what we're seeking for is 3 things. The source of light. In other words, why are we here?
Mm.
What created the universe? The source of light. How did light start? The source of light. Why
Mm.
are we here at all?
Mm.
And the perfect note, the second thing that man has always been looking for, is now that we are here and we're born, what
Mm.
is the perfect life to live? What is the way to live it to the day you die? What is a life of fulfillment and abundance? What is the perfect way of living? Right? We're trying to understand that. And the third thing that's in the heart of every man is the concept of alabaster girl. Now,
Mm.
alabaster
Mm.
is a stone that they use for sculpture because it's
Mm.
very soft and hard at the same time, and you can kind of see through it when it's thin slices.
Mm.
So you can kind of see through it. So the alabaster girl represents that firm and soft spirit of women, feminine spirit that you can see through,
Mm.
but it's strong and you can sculpt it. You can shape it in different ways. So it came to me maybe in a dream,
Mm.
maybe something related to the Bible in Western culture, which is the concept of Mary Magdalene and her alabaster jar. She had
Mm.
an alabaster jar with perfume, and it was made out of alabaster, the stone. And
Mm.
she anointed Jesus with this perfume from the alabaster jar. Maybe it's something to do that, but really, it just came out of, I don't know where it came out of. Doesn't mean anything, but it means something to me, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm. So let's talk about some of your quotes from the book, I think. These will be, let's talk about the first one. There's a difference between hot women and beautiful women. Hot women are everywhere, they abound, they are beautiful, not beautiful. Beautiful women, on the other hand, are rare and a real mystery. Hotness speaks to our impulses, beauty speaks to our imagination. Yeah.
yeah, okay. That was my observation over the years. There's a type of woman who has a real quiet beauty
Hmm.
and there's a lot of hot girls
Hmm.
and you can purchase a lot of hotness. You could get butt implants, hair extensions, lip
Hmm.
injections. And a lot of women are just like men, are
Hmm.
surface, just trying to look their outward appearance more hot. And so they got nice bodies and they're perfect ass and they're wearing little skirts that are on Instagram.
Hmm.
That's hotness.
Hmm.
And if that's all you have and your girlfriend is this girl who's hot and looks good in a dress,
Yeah.
but you don't like her as a person, or she's not fun to be around, or she's not funny,
Hmm.
or stimulating intellectually,
Hmm.
then as every guy knows who's been with a girl who's pretty, and that's all she is. It doesn't take long for that to get really old and wear off, and you don't want anything to do with her anymore.
Hmm.
So hotness is what women are pursuing for themselves because they think that's what men want, and men want that, but they
Hmm.
want something more too. And then
Yeah.
there's a subset of women who are just fundamentally beautiful inside and outside.
Hmm.
And when you meet a woman like that, every guy will stop and look at a hot girl's ass. Now look
Yeah.
at that. That's cool, right? But when you
Hmm.
meet a woman who's got beauty,
Hmm.
not only do you look at her ass because you're a guy, but
Hmm.
you look at um, there's something about her that reminds you of your own spiritual journey, that what you're trying to move.
Yeah.
She represents what you're trying to find for your own life. She
Mm.
represents the spirit that you're trying to engage and find in your own life.
Yeah.
She represents something that you've been called to, and you
Yeah.
recognize her. And there are very few, just like there's few men like that. And so, and so hotness is everywhere, but beauty really makes us stop and think. That's what the idea of that concept is.
Let's go to the second one. Here is a sublime secret of the ages, the secret of men whom women eternally love. They are father figures and little boys simultaneously.
Yep, I'll tell you right there, the whiny victim type of modern young man now who feels entitled, the nice guy who does all the nice things for the girl and she doesn't give him anything back in return, maybe a kiss on the cheek or something now and then, and he's secretly angry about it. That's that nice guy, really bad type of nice guy energy.
Mm.
It's entitled and it's angry and it's manipulative, you know. Um, so just like there's an upper and lower energy in the heart of man, like I talked about earlier,
Yeah.
the men in this world who women just adore, who women love, who
Mm.
women date, who women go to bed with them, women
Mm.
introduce their sisters, mothers introduce their daughters to this guy. They really think he's got something special.
Mm.
Um, that sense of mystique is because he is two things at once.
Yeah.
He's the father figure.
Mm.
In other words, he has conviction.
Yeah.
He knows how to speak his truth. He will not compromise. He will not let a beautiful woman push him around,
Mm.
and he won't make excuses for her bad behavior just because he just want to lose her. He would
Mm.
rather lose the girl than he's got conviction, and he's that's what father would do. So father would say to his 3-year-old girl who's doing something wrong on the carpet of the floor, he would say, "My sweetie."
Mm.
This is how the father would say it, "My sweetie," smiling, but stern and strong. "My sweetie, I told you not to do it. Don't do it again. Don't
Mm.
touch that vase. Don't do it." And it's this conviction in it, the strength. There's a commanding attention, but it's also benevolent and kind and loving. Okay,
Mm.
so that father figure is what women respond to, and modern man doesn't have that. Modern men are little boys. They buy fast cars. They try and look cool. They try and act like they're not interested. They're trying to be aloof. They're trying all these things because they don't have that grounding of conviction and character.
Mm.
So, but if you're only the guy who's this father figure, then you're too strong and too stern, and you need to be vulnerable. Your wife, for instance, if you're married, when you come home, you had a hard day at the office, or you worked in the field, or you're flying a plane or something. Now you're exhausted. You come home, and your wife or your girlfriend comes and puts her arms around you and holds you like you're a little boy and does this to your hair. That's what men need. And that's what women want to give. And if women don't have the opportunity to do that because you're always confident and cool all the time and you're not
Yeah.
vulnerable, and she doesn't have the opportunity to take care of the little boy in you.
Mm.
So, so the strongest men out there are father figures where they have
Yeah.
conviction, and they're also little boys that need saving
Mm.
by their mummy. And so she gets to be the two halves of women, which is the little girl who got in trouble, which they want to feel from you, and the nurturing, caretaking mother that tells you it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it.
Mm.
That's so important.
Yeah. Beautifully put. There's another one. Women are not attracted to men who are good looking. They are attracted to men who are attractive. Wonder what the red pill community says about this.
Well, all women will look at a guy who's hot, like on the beach or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, the difference is we men will date a girl who's hot and goes to bed with us and this kind of stuff, but we don't really like her.
Yeah.
Men will stay with her. They don't even really like her, but she's hot. Where women would never do that.
uh,
If you're just a guy who's good looking and you have nothing in there to get her feeling and thinking, emotionally
mm,
connected to something and
mm,
caught up in something in your energy,
mm,
it lasts maybe for women a day, maybe a day or two. For men, it could last for months, a long time because she's hot.
mm,
So women need to know that there's something. Um, they're not attracted to men who are good looking. They're
mm.
attracted to men who are attractive.
Yeah.
And attractive is all these things. He takes care of himself.
Mm,
He dresses as well as he can. He's kind. He's good to people.
yeah.
He's a good heart, good spirit, and he's funny.
Mm,
He's attractive. He's attractive across the board. If he's not funny, not only these things, but he looks really good, like a model. Women are not interested in him at all.
mm. Which is, I think, it would be right to say that the ultimate source for seduction is the metaphysical brilliance that a man embodies.
100%.
Yeah.
Seduction comes from a spirit of the unknown and the spirit of a quest. If you're on a
Yeah.
vision quest, like a personal quest, like a quest like Homer's Odyssey,
Yeah.
virtually in your life, you
Mm,
are magnificently attractive to women. Women are drawn to that because they want that too.
mm.
So your seduction is 100% the way it feels, not the way it looks. For
Yeah.
men, it's the way it looks.
Yeah.
You don't care what it feels like with her. You don't care if she's got a personality or not. She's got a nice body. Let's go.
Mm.
Or maybe that's just me.
Yeah. But do you think that your personal seeking, your writing and reading and everything, discovery of beauty, art, and philosophy, that sort of changed that heavy impetus that the physical features of a woman had on you, on your psyche? Like, did that change a bit? Like, still you appreciate the physical features, but the metaphysical thing is a very key thing for you now in a woman.
That's a good question, actually, because I've been in a relationship with my girl now for 13 years. It's
Hmm.
13 years.
Oh,
And
okay.
and I talk about art and philosophy to her all the time, and I need that stimulation.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to talk to her about it, you know. At
Hmm.
the same time, I'm still attracted to girls that just has a body and that's it.
Yeah.
I still like the energy of it. I still like girls.
Hmm.
So I need intellectual stimulation, but I draw it from myself, my own internal thinking and contemplation and reading.
Yeah.
I don't need, I have no mentors. I have
Hmm.
nobody in this world that I can go to that will say things to me that I go, wow, I've learned a lot. I have nothing.
Hmm.
I get it from history and from books.
Hmm.
Um, and I wish I had that. I wish I had, intellectual stimulation from someone else. I wish I had it. It sounds stupid when I say that. I don't mean it like that. Because I get,
Hmm.
intellectual stimulation even from the call with you. I'm learning as we're talking, shaping
Yeah.
things in new ways, which I love, and we're in
Hmm.
this conversation, which is good.
Hmm.
So that can happen all the time.
Yeah.
But man, it's rare that I find somebody, I just realized it's rare that I find somebody that teaches me something completely wholly new that I had no
Hmm.
idea.
Hmm.
I've been so self-taught because I didn't have any teachers. I didn't go to school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Hmm.
But that's interesting. You created a original sort of philosophy from your own journey, which has a unique taste to it. I think probably you were able to do that also because you went
Yeah,
in a journey of self-learning, continuously, seeking new things.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
So if I were to ask you, like, just, basic qualities for young men, whether it's here in India, Asia, or in the West, that you would suggest that are within reach and it is not something that they cannot afford to do, like, what can be those qualities that they can embody just in general to become a very attractive guy?
Well, I think just dedicate your life
Hmm.
to yourself. Don't
Hmm.
just exist.
Mm.
Say, have a forceful way through life, thrust through life with your dick forward through life. Be that guy.
Mm.
So dedicate your life to a life surrounded by what you want your life to look like. And for me, I want to be surrounded by beauty.
Yeah.
So dedicate your life to that. Every day, rededicate yourself and then
Mm.
go forth into your day and trust that you're on the right path. If
Yeah.
something doesn't work out, okay, it
Mm.
didn't work out, but I trust that I'm still on the right path. So dedicate yourself. Uh, Stop apologizing for who you are and for being a man. That doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
And speak your truth. Aristotle's first principles. Aristotle talked about begin with first principles.
Mm.
What do you know to be true? I know that I'm a young guy. I know that I'm lonely. I know that that girl over there is very attractive to me.
Mm.
I know I would like to meet her. I know I would like to talk to her. And I know you know all these things. These are facts.
Yeah.
These are Aristotle's first principles. They're true. They're true. No girl can say, "Oh, you're not lonely," or you didn't really want to come talk to me. No one can reject you for what you're speaking your truth. Every young man can think about who am I, and what do I want, and what is true to me today. And then when you go and talk to women, just repeat those truths that you know to be true. I was over there with my friend, statement of truth. I saw you over here, truth. I
Yeah.
wanted to come talk to you, which is true, and I want
Mm.
to know your name. Those are four statements, not a question. There's not a single question. There's four statements of truth that are real.
Mm.
You will automatically be more attractive than almost any man she's seen
Mm.
because you're just speaking truth. And maybe you're broke, maybe you have no money, maybe you have no, maybe you're nervous, but at
Mm.
least you're showing up and speaking truth. And
Mm.
that's as simple as it is. And if you say, "I would like to see you again,"
Yeah.
that's it. That is a statement of universal truth that you believe to be true. It's not a question, "Can I see you again?
Mm.
Would you like to meet sometime?" You say, "We should meet sometime. I would love to see you again."
Mm.
Statement of truth. Now she
Yeah.
has to respond or not, but it's as an attractive thing as man has ever done. You're just
Mm.
going up and saying, "Hi, I want to meet you. That's all I know. That's
Mm.
my truth." That's
Yeah.
attractive. That's a cool guy. If I saw a young guy do that, I think that's a cool guy. I'd like he can hang out with me.
Mm.
I'd hang out with that guy. I like him. I like that guy a lot. And women will like him too. Even if the woman he says that to is married, can't do it, engaged, has a boyfriend, she will be, "Thank you for saying that. Thank you for being that guy to represent yourself and stand on this earth and just say it without apology."
Mm.
Yeah,
So it's about being very, authentic and strong with your convictions and throwing invitations without any,
correct.
and just being true to yourself.
That's correct. Excellent.
And also dedicating yourself to a continuous process of self-discovery throughout life, reinventing yourself and integrating multiple, aspects that you discover through the process.
That's right. Well said.
Yeah.
That's good, Sanmitra.
So,
Excellent.
so before we close, then, if I can ask you, like, do you have any like association with spiritual materials or spirituality that you explore?
When I was a kid, I read the Bible. I'm from the West,
Yeah.
and I really believe that the ancient texts
Mm.
that we have in our cultures, Christianity, Buddhism, Sikhism, whatever, the ancient texts and the ancient beliefs are around for so long because they give us meaning and structure to life. They give us rituals. Our modern secular scientific age, we took away rituals. We don't pray for our meals anymore. We don't come together as children around the Father
Yeah.
to listen to a story. We just run to our devices. And the secular age has taken away the idea of rituals and myths. Like your culture is full of myths and meanings and why,
Yeah.
and stories. It's all stories. Your culture is all stories. And we science and I love science. I'm a scientific type guy, but the secular age has thrown that away and said these are all old stories. The Bible, all these writings from the past. They don't mean anything, and they're just fairy tales. Yeah, but they're fairy tales. If they were fairy tales, they gave us meaning. So I really think that by reconnecting to the faith of our fathers, our ancestors,
Yeah.
what they believe, you learn something about yourself. You learn something about your role in this world. So um, I really, I really think that, yeah. And if you're reading the book The Alabaster Girl or following Ars Amorata, you will see that I only feel like it's my own spiritual journey. It's my journey to try and understand meaning
Yeah.
and what is salvation. And if you're the same type of guy, you're the same kind of seeker. You're a treasure hunter like I am. And so you'll be on a spiritual journey, and you will not relate to women at all who are not also on a spiritual journey. You might bang them because they're hot. That's cool. But you won't stay with them or connect to them because they're not on their own spiritual journey. So any sources? I read a lot of, when I wrote the book, The Alabaster Girl, I didn't read a book. 10 years I didn't read, and I like to read. So I didn't want to influence it. And I wanted to get this out of my system, And so The Alabaster Girl is 400 pages and came out of my experience and my thoughts and my contemplation, came 100% out of me. There's nothing that you'll read in The Alabaster Girl that you read anywhere else. I don't think so. And now, the stuff I'm writing now, I have nothing in me. So I'm surrounded by books, and my books are, philosophy and history and concept of art and beauty. That's what my books all are. And it's like I'm trying to connect to, for me, the biblical aspect of the biblical narrative, 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. That kind of thing appeals to me because it's what I'm steeped in, But anything that has that kind of mystical narrative quality with a steeped history, like here in Romania, there's Orthodox churches, Romanian Orthodox churches. And I'm not Orthodox at all, right? But I can walk into an Orthodox church that's 1,000 years old. And you could feel the energy change when you walk inside there, because there's 1,000 years of births, baptisms, marriages, deaths, 1,000 years right where you're standing. And that energy is stored in the stone of the walls and in the paintings and in stained glass. And same thing when, I went in Istanbul, I go into the Blue Mosque. There's a rich heritage that you could feel in the air when you walk into it. So yeah, like in Roman Catholic churches too. I'm not Roman Catholic, but a cathedral like Westminster Abbey in London, I wrote about it in The Alabaster Girl. It's got a reverence to it, and reverence is what we're missing. So yeah, I could talk about that for a long time. I'm writing this in my next book.
So, in our culture, there is so much spiritual material and traditions in India, and also with the Eastern spirituality of Buddhism.
Yes.
So we sort of have a lot of faith in the idea of one divine force, the God who created the universe and all these things. So, even people like Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg came to India to draw inspiration.
Sure.
When Steve was thrown out of Apple, he came to India. So we have a very famous saint here whose name is Baba Neem Karoli. So very famous psychedelics researcher from the US, Richard Alpert. He went there and he was doing researches on psychedelics, acid and everything. So he had mystical experiences with this Baba Neem.
Sure. Yeah.
And Steve Jobs went there, Julia Roberts, Mark Zuckerberg. So we have a lot of, spiritual material here. So
you've got a great history, a rich history of stories and culture. Yeah, it's beautiful.
From the Bhagavad Gita to Mahabharata and everything.
And you can't throw those out. Modern society says, that's useless. You can't throw those out because you created the cities of the world because of what we believe. We created the iPhone. The iPhone was created because we believed in something.
Yeah.
Because of the Christian culture, right?
Yeah, these mystical and spiritual materials, they always help in our creative expression, and we can see that in the world
Yeah,
also with a lot of change makers. Even Einstein, David Bohm, they all talked about the mystical side of their inventions. Even the great mathematicians that
yeah.
exist, there is a mystical side that these things sort of came in their imaginations from this
They
particular.
all thought that.
Yeah,
All the physicists that studied physics, they go, wait a minute. The more
yeah,
I study physics, the more I realize what we don't know. And there's
yeah,
something, some other realm out there. There's something else.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
think being in touch with this continuous seeking with the spiritual material and the mystical side, probably it helps us as a man also.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. It's it. That's what makes you attractive.
Yeah,
That's seeking energy. If you don't have it, you're not attractive. I promise you, you're not attractive.
yeah,
You might be good looking, you might get laid now and then, but you're not attractive.
yeah. So this might be something that the young men who are watching this would take as a footnote that you have to
Yeah.
connect with that mystical side and be on that continuous seeking journey. That is the sauce.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, really good.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
So, yeah. So, any more things you are doing, Zan, apart from this book you are writing?
No, I'm spending the winter writing. I'm
Yeah,
writing 4 or 5 hours a day. I'm going to get this out of my system.
yeah,
That's my only goal right now. That's all I have.
yeah. Looking forward to it.
Me too. I want to know what it's about too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Zan, for joining
Yeah,
the
you
call.
bet you, Sanmitra. Yeah.
Yeah,
If anybody wants to come, go to zanperrion.com.
yeah, yeah. I'll be putting all the links of
Okay.
Zan in the description. You guys can check the arsamorata.com and you can find all the stuff that Zan covers in terms of his workshops, his book, The Alabaster Girl, the secret that it has, and also other thing that is in the Ars Amorata community with everyone who's there. So
That's
for
right.
young man who's watching this, you can find Zan at arsamorata.com. And
Yeah.
it's always a pleasure, reading Zan's material, his take, and it has helped me personally with the creative expression and art and beauty that he brings in into his seduction here. I was, sort of became very logical and sort of cold with the red pill stuff and everything that was out there. But I think the creative expression really, makes it much more fun and enriching for us.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for having me and thanks for inviting me here. It's good to connect with all your audience.
yeah, yeah.
And hopefully it shed some light or is valuable for them in some way.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful insights you put together, and I think the audience will sort of enjoy them, especially
Appreciate it,
people
brother.
who are not sort of familiar with this side, the romantic and creative side of the seduction game.
Right. Yeah, appreciate it. Excellent.
So thank you, Zan, again for joining the podcast.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, maybe we can do another one some other time,
Yeah,
getting into specific aspects that
let's see
we,
if people get it, people like it and get some
yeah,
questions maybe or something. Yeah, I'd be open
yeah,
to it
yeah,
again for
specific
sure.
aspects.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Avatar.